Tonight is one of the most respected actors ever to grace both stage and screen. In the X-Men movies, he wowed audiences as arch-villain Magneto, but it's in the Lord of the Rings trilogy that he's best loved, starring as this wise old wizard.
I wish the ring had never come to me. I wish none of this had happened.
So do all who live to see such times, but that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us. There are other forces at work in this world, Frodo, besides the will of evil. Bilbo was meant to find the ring, in which case you also were meant to have it. And that is an encouraging thought.
Please welcome Sir Ian McKellen.
Stairs and which isn't it?
Yeah, there's bits of marbling.
Does that ever move round?
No, but if you get on it, we can do London Palladium if you like. Welcome, Ian. Good to see you.
Thank you. And you?
I didn't know you were going to come in costume because you're playing a tramp. So. Oh!
Cheeky,
No, I'm only talking about the hair.
The trouble is, yes, I am playing a homeless gentleman of latter years, and the easiest way to do it, rather than sticking on a false beard and moustache, is to let it grow. But it's you just have to put up with it, and people look at you and think you're a bit crazy, but they will.
But better that than a great lump of gauze glued where you can't sort of move your face.
Have you ever done, you do some amateur acting, don't you?
Well, I did at school.
At school,
well,
yes.
I did. I remember wearing a bit. Well, I did after school as well. Yeah, I remember whenever you have to stick on a moustache, it just stops your lip moving.
And it would fall off, and it's cast.
But this is a huge success waiting for Godot. You're on at Haymarket now because you've come back.
I know.
to great acclaim.
Well, you know, it's a wonderful play. It's been around for 50 years and more. It was thought to be very difficult when it first came out, but since then it's been studied at school on A level and so on. Lots of people know about it, but not everybody's seen it. And it turns out to be a perfectly easy play to get along with. It's very funny, and it's about what it's like to be old, frankly. It's about four old men who meet up and chatter their day away, waiting for. Well, we're all waiting for something, but they're not quite sure what it is, and will they recognise it when it arrives? So it's not your ordinary sort of play, but it's very entertaining, and so it proved. And we did it on a tour of the UK last year. Audiences turned up in their thousands.
Well, that might be something to do.
It was a comedy.
Well, I'm going to say it might be something to do with the fact that it's got some darn good actors in it. But that is interesting because you did work originally. You were opposite Patrick Stewart.
Yes.
It's come back, and you're opposite another great actor, Roger Rees. Now, what does this do to your performance?
Well, it's difficult because we're playing old mates who've known each other for 50 years, and when Roger was rehearsing it, of course, I didn't quite know what to do. Was I to sort of stand by and let him get on with it, learn the lines, and catch up with us? No, that wasn't quite right. I should be showing him what my performance was like so that he could fit in with it. But then my performance was designed to fit in with another actor, Patrick Stewart. So it was a bit complicated. We didn't know quite what to do, and it's taken us a few performances to get into sync. But we're now running along, and
you've also got Matthew Kelly and Ronald Pickup.
Oh, Matthew Kelly, yes. What a riot he is.
Well, he's become, you know, from someone who used to do Game for a Laugh. My goodness me, is he now rated as an actor?
I know, a great actor. Yeah. And I can remember one year when I'd given what I thought was a pretty spanking performance and was sitting there at the Olivier Awards waiting to stand up when my name was called out. No, it's Matthew Kelly's name that was called out. I haven't reminded him of that.
I'm going to say you still agree to act with him. So that's...
Yeah, the better the actor, the better I enjoy it.
It's a play which, as you say, has confused audiences for a long while. Does it confuse actors too?
No, because although there's a lot of non sequiturs, and if you were overhearing it, a couple of men talking on a park bench, you might think, what on earth are they talking about? Well, they know what they're talking about, but you don't. You just have to sort of catch up with them. And so, yes, there's a reason why everybody says everything, and they're thinking about the past and wondering about the future, and miserable, and then cheering each other up, and it's just like life, really.
Sounds as if you have a good time.
We do have a lovely time. we all gather in Ronald Pickup's dressing room before the show, and we're all looking dreadful, you know, with our hair all over the place, and we just laugh, a lot of makeup on. We laugh and have a cup of tea, and then meet up again at the interval. So we're a very jolly little quartet.
24 old men having a good time.
That's it, yeah.
A far cry. You are a rare actor, and you're one who completely bridges Hollywood, although was shot in New Zealand, but Hollywood and the British stage, with Lord of the Rings and that amazing character Gandalf. And I gather going on to do the prequel, The Hobbit, hopefully.
Yes, we're going to do that later this year in New Zealand.
Do you take very easily to that kind of big celluloid role, having always been certainly known in this country as a really intense stage actor?
Well, you know, when you're doing it, you've got up early and you stick on the false, in that case, beard, moustache, false nose, false eyebrows, wig and costume. And you go in front of the camera. It could be a little film that no one's ever going to see, or it could be a big blockbusting, big-selling classic that you've made. You don't know. While you're doing it, you're just an actor in front of a camera in a lot of makeup. So it's no big deal when you're doing it. The big deal comes later on when suddenly, oh my goodness, the world thinks it's marvellous and wonderful.
And your audience is expanded hugely by the people, therefore, who've seen you in the film and then might come and see you in the theatre.
Well, that's right. And DVDs and so on. I think probably more people have seen Lord of the Rings at home on the small screen, which is a pity because it belongs on a big screen. And I've got lots of fans who are very, very young, you know, who weren't born when we were making the movie. So that's lovely for me, really lovely.
You were very upfront about coming out all those years ago, and, you know, being open about your sexuality, about the fact that you are gay. Did that have a knock-on effect in Hollywood? Did you find it, because they're very quiet about it over there generally. Were you shunned at all?
Poor old Hollywood. Well, I mean, you know, nobody looks to Hollywood for advancing human rights in any direction. You know, they were always terrible about women. They were terrible about black people, putting them in small parts of the movies. And poor old gays, they were always having to be killed off in the last reel. You don't depend on Hollywood for an enlightenment.
Did it affect your work over there, or the way in which you were treated over there?
I think I was, by that time, too well established as an actor, and if they wanted me, they wanted me, and they got me with my open sexuality in tow. But I think it is hard for young actors. And why should it be? I don't think audiences give a damn about what someone's private life is. And if acting and an audience's reaction to it is something to do with sex, and I think probably it is, you know, there is a sexual attraction to a performer, it's all fantasy. You're never going to meet the person. So what does it matter if in real life they fancy somebody of the opposite gender or the same gender? And it doesn't seem to me to be a real problem, but it's generations of people worrying about it that it's got to be got over.
You've accomplished so much, you've played so many roles. Is there one that is gnawing away inside that you are still burning to play?
Yeah, well, there are a few that I'm determined not to play, like Falstaff, wonderful part by Shakespeare, we're told, but it's a very big part and nobody ever seems to quite pull it off. But there's another part by Shakespeare I would like to play, which is in Romeo and Juliet, a character called Mercutio. Yeah. He's a friend of Romeo, usually played at the same age of Romeo and all his mates, but there's no reason why this guy who is very down on women, very loves going around with the lads, but a bit of a cynic and a great sword fighter, shouldn't actually be an older man, and maybe even as old as I am. And I keep mentioning this on shows like yours, Alan, but nobody ever...
Well, I'm glad you mentioned it here. It will be noticed. I mean, if Dame Judi Dench can play Titania and get rave reviews...
I went to see it last night.
Good?
Oh, of course she's good. But,
what a silly question.
And I'd seen her play years ago in a Peter Hall production at Stratford. But to see her so merry as ever and falling in love with a donkey... yes.
It's given to few of us, but it's given to Dame Judy. Great to talk to you. On at the Theatre Royal in Market Wakeford for God. Ladies and gentlemen, Sir Ian McKellen.
Thank you.